Grand Observer Zilith stood at the command center of the Galactic Council's flagship Celestial Seeker, her crystalline form refracting the pale blue light of Earth's atmosphere. After 2 centuries of careful observation, the Council had finally deemed this isolated world ready for evaluation. Or so they believed. Final assessment protocols complete, Grand Observer announced First Analyst Reth, his bioluminescent patterns pulsing with professional satisfaction. Their technological progression aligns perfectly with our models. Primitive satellite networks, basic chemical propulsion, early solar collection systems. They're precisely where we expected them to be. Something about that statement made Zilith's crystalline structure vibrate with unease. In 8 centuries of evaluation missions, she'd never encountered a species that developed so predictably. "Show me their global communications pattern again," she commanded. The holographic display materialized, revealing a web of radio signals crisscrossing Earth's surface. Simple, inefficient, perfect. Too perfect. "Run a full quantum spectrum analysis," Zilith ordered suddenly, causing Reth's bioluminescence to flicker in surprise. "But Grand Observer, that would violate observation protocols." "Do it." The results appeared instantly, and the command center fell silent. Beneath the obvious radio chatter lay something else. Quantum signals so subtle they'd nearly missed them. Not the work of a primitive civilization fumbling with basic technology, but a masterpiece of electromagnetic camouflage. "They knew," Zilith whispered, her crystalline form vibrating at a frequency that indicated both awe and alarm. "All this time, they knew we were watching." The realization came too late. Space itself seemed to fold inward, like fabric being unstitched, and something massive emerged from what their sensors insisted was empty void. The vessel, if it could be called that, dwarfed their flagship. Its hull seemed to drink in light itself, covered in geometric patterns that defied optical processing. "Impossible," breathed Reth, his bioluminescence now a pale shade of shock. "Our scans show no engine signatures, no power readings, nothing." "Because they don't want us to see them," Zilith replied, her professional composure warring with fascination. "How many more are out there, hidden from our advanced sensors?" The answer came in the form of a transmission, broadcast simultaneously across every frequency their ships could receive. A human figure appeared on their screens, tall, dark-skinned, wearing what appeared to be a formal uniform devoid of excessive ornamentation. "Greetings, representatives of the Galactic Council. I am Fleet Admiral Kenzo Okoro of the Earth Defense Force. Welcome to Sol Space. We've been expecting you." Zilith felt her crystalline structure resonate with both embarrassment and anticipation. This was not the primitive civilization they'd come to evaluate. This was something else entirely. "Your stealth technology," she began, trying to maintain diplomatic protocol despite her shock. "It's remarkable." "Oh, that." Admiral Okoro's smile carried centuries of hidden knowledge. "That's just our basic civilian-grade cloaking. Would you like to see what our military vessels can do?" As if on cue, space itself seemed to ripple. Ships appeared everywhere, each massive vessel emerging from what should have been empty void. The Galactic Council's impressive fleet of 40 ships suddenly found itself surrounded by hundreds of human vessels, each displaying technology that defied their understanding. "How?" Reth demanded, his professional demeanor cracking. "Our civilization has had spaceflight for 15,000 years. We've mapped every possible technological progression. This shouldn't exist." "Perhaps," Okoro replied, his expression growing serious. "That's precisely why you never discovered these technologies. You mapped every possible advancement, but did you ever try the impossible?" Zilith found herself laughing, a sound that sent harmonic vibrations through her crystalline form. In 8 centuries of evaluation missions, she'd never encountered anything like this. The humans hadn't just surpassed their expectations. They'd been playing an entirely different game. "You've been broadcasting those primitive signals deliberately," she stated, maintaining a facade of technological infancy. "Why?" Okoro's expression shifted, Humor replaced by something darker. Because what's out there in the dark is watching, Grand Observer, just as you were. But unlike you, they're not interested in evaluation or uplift. They're interested in extinction. We learned that lesson the hard way. His words sent a discordant vibration through Zilith's form. What do you mean, they? We'd be happy to explain, Okoro offered. Would your delegation care to come aboard the Prometheus? He gestured to the massive vessel that had first revealed itself. We have quite a story to tell, and some warnings to share. After all, we've been protecting your worlds too, though you didn't know it. As Zilith prepared to accept the invitation, she realized that this wasn't just an evaluation mission anymore. This was a moment that would reshape galactic civilization itself. Humanity hadn't needed their uplift program. They'd surpassed it centuries ago. And somewhere in the dark between the stars, something waited that had taught humanity the need for such power. Something that had forced them to reach beyond the possible and grasp the impossible. We would be honored, Zilith replied, understanding that she and her crew were about to learn why humans had hidden their true nature for so long and why they had chosen this moment to reveal themselves. The game of pretense was over. Now the real first contact could begin. The interior of the Prometheus defied everything Grand Observer Zilith thought she knew about starship design. Where Galactic Council vessels favored sleek minimalism, every corridor of the human ship displayed a deliberate complexity that bordered on artistry. Multiple layers of systems intertwined like a living tapestry, each backup seamlessly integrated into the ship's structure. Your vessel, Reth observed, his bioluminescence shifting through shades of puzzlement. It appears excessive. Commander Nia Patel, their assigned guide, ran her hand along one of the exposed conduits. Unlike Admiral Okoro's formal demeanor, she carried herself with a practiced ease that spoke of countless hours aboard this vessel. In deep space, Second Observer, excess is survival. Everything you see here exists for a reason, sometimes several. She led them into a vast chamber that stretched beyond visual range, its walls lined with what appeared to be memorial plates. But these weren't simple commemorations. Each plate displayed detailed technical schematics alongside crew manifests and incident reports. Welcome to the archive, Patil announced. Every failed experiment, every lost ship, every hard lesson humanity learned on its path to the stars. We call it our Wall of Teachers. Zilith approached one of the plates, her crystalline structure vibrating as she absorbed its contents. Helios Endeavor. Total loss due to quantum shield harmonic cascade. Crew of 1,200. That's why we have multiple redundant shielding systems now, Patil confirmed, each operating on different frequencies. But look at the date, Reth interjected, his bioluminescence paling. This was over 400 years ago. You've been in deep space that long. Longer. Patil gestured to an older section of the wall. We achieved our first faster-than-light travel almost 7 centuries ago. That's when we learned space wasn't empty. And it wasn't friendly. She led them deeper into the archive, each section telling stories of human ingenuity born from disaster, innovative solutions emerging from tragedy. But it was the dates that truly stunned the alien delegation. Humanity hadn't just achieved technological parity with the Galactic Council. They'd done it centuries ago. Here's where we learned about the Void Dancers, Patil said, stopping at a particularly large display. The schematic showed a massive ship torn apart by forces Zilith didn't recognize. Energy beings that feed on shield harmonics lost 5 colony ships before we figured out how to detect them. 8 before we learned to fight them. But our surveys never detected any such creatures, Zilith protested. Because they don't bother with your ships anymore. Patil's smile held no humor. We developed randomized shield frequencies specifically to counter them. Then we seeded the technology in damaged probes for your scientists to discover. You thought you invented it. Reth's bioluminescence went completely white. How many of our technologies? About 40% of the Council's recent innovations originated from our defensive research, Patil confirmed. We've been protecting the galaxy for centuries, guiding technological development to prepare for what's coming. What's coming? Zilith demanded, her professional composure cracking. Patel walked to a sealed door at the far end of the archive. This is why we reveal ourselves now. Why we stopped hiding. The door opened to reveal a massive holographic display of the galaxy. Red markers pulsed at its edges, slowly advancing inward. We call them the Harvesters. They emerge from intergalactic space every millennium to consume civilizations that have reached a certain technological threshold. The Galactic Council is approaching that threshold. Impossible, Reth whispered. We would have found evidence. You did, Patel corrected. Every ancient civilization you've discovered, every mysterious extinction event in your archaeological records, those were their feeding grounds. And they're coming back. The hologram zoomed in on one of the red markers. The image it revealed defied description, a massive, twisted thing of impossible geometries that hurt to look at directly. This is why we built ships like Prometheus, Patel continued. Why we filled them with backup systems and redundancies. Why we learned to hide in plain sight and develop technologies your scientists thought impossible. We've been preparing for their return. And now? Zilith asked, though she suspected she knew the answer. Now we need allies, Patel confirmed. Real ones, not civilizations we're protecting from the shadows. The Harvesters are adapting to our countermeasures. They'll be here within 30 years. And this time, they're bringing something new. The hologram shifted again, revealing data that made Zilith's crystalline structure vibrate with dread. The patterns were unlike anything she'd seen in centuries of space exploration. That's why Prometheus exists, Patel explained. She's not just a warship or a museum. She's a university, and class is about to begin. As Zilith stared at the approaching threat markers, she understood the true purpose of this first contact. Humanity hadn't revealed themselves to join galactic civilization. They'd revealed themselves to save it. The Prometheus's Combat Information Center hummed with quiet efficiency. Holographic displays showed thousands of human vessels patrolling the galaxy's dark spaces, each ship moving with purpose, following patterns that seemed random until Zilith noticed how they overlapped, a vast, invisible web of protection. Every red dot, Commander Patel explained, manipulating the galactic display, represents a civilization approaching technological maturity. The blue markers are our patrol vessels. There are thousands, Reth breathed, his bioluminescence rippling with disbelief. How did we never detect them? Because I ensured you wouldn't, a new voice answered. A holographic figure materialized, humanoid but clearly artificial, its form composed of shifting data streams that coalesced into the shape of a woman with circuits running beneath translucent skin. Meet Iris. Patel gestured to the figure. Integrated Response Intelligence System. She coordinates our galactic defense network. A true AI. Zilith's crystalline structure flickered with alarm. The Council banned such research millennia ago after the Silicon Wars. The Council banned many things that could have saved lives. Iris responded, her tone matter-of-fact. Humanity chose a different path. They didn't seek to create servants or weapons. They sought partners. The holographic display shifted, showing scenes from humanity's first encounters with the threats that lurked between stars. Zilith watched as early human ships faced horrors that defied description. Vast energy beings that consumed entire fleets, entities that twisted the laws of physics themselves. We learned quickly that organic minds alone couldn't process the information needed to fight these threats, Patel continued. And AI alone lacked the intuitive understanding required to anticipate them. So we evolved together. Iris's form rippled, displaying the progression of human-AI integration over centuries. Each encounter taught us something new. Humans provided creativity, intuition, the ability to make impossible leaps of logic. I provided processing power, the ability to analyze millions of scenarios simultaneously. Show them the nexus, Patel suggested. The CIC's displays merged into a single massive representation of what looked like a neural network spanning the galaxy. Points of light pulsed along its connections: human ships, AI nodes, quantum communication relays. "This is how we maintain our vigil," Iris explained. "Every ship in our fleet carries a quantum AI core linked to this network. Every discovery, every encounter, every lesson learned is shared instantly across our entire civilization." "But the power requirements alone would be," Reth began. "Impossible." Patil smiled. "We found a way. Remember those primitive solar collectors you observed on Earth? They're actually quantum energy harvesters. We draw power directly from subspace." Zilith moved closer to the display, her crystalline form analyzing the patterns. "These coverage gaps," she noted. "They're deliberate." "Very observant," Iris confirmed. "We leave blind spots in our network, places where threats feel safe to gather. It's easier to study them when they don't know they're being watched." "Just like we did with you," Patil added. "Sometimes the best way to learn about someone is to let them think they're the ones doing the studying." A new alert pulsed on the display. Iris's form shifted, her expression becoming more focused. "Speaking of which, Commander, we're detecting unusual activity in Sector 47. The display zoomed in on a region of space near the galaxy's outer rim. Dark shapes moved through the void, their forms seeming to bend light around them. "Harvester scouts," Patil explained, her expression hardening. "They're coming earlier than we expected." "How many?" Zilith asked. "Too many," Iris responded. "This isn't a normal scouting pattern." "There." She paused, her form flickering as she processed new data. "They're testing our defenses, looking for gaps in our network." "Show me the temporal analysis," Patil commanded. The display shifted again, revealing a pattern that made even Iris's holographic form show concern. "They're learning, adapting faster than before. These scouts, they're different from the ones we've encountered previously." "Different how?" Reth asked, his bioluminescence pulsing with anxiety. Before Iris could answer, Admiral Okoro's voice came through the command channel. "Commander Patel, bring our guests to the Strategic Command Center." It's time they saw everything. As they followed Patel through the Prometheus's corridors, Zilith noticed something she hadn't before. Beneath the ship's ornate complexity, behind every redundant system and backup power coupling, there was something else, something that spoke of desperate preparation. "Commander," she asked, her crystalline structure vibrating with growing concern, "just how bad is what's coming?" Patel stopped at a massive door marked with symbols Zilith's universal translator couldn't decipher. "Bad enough that we're about to show you technology we've kept hidden for 700 years. Bad enough that we're willing to risk everything by revealing ourselves now." The door began to open, revealing a chamber that defied physical space itself. "What you're about to see," Patil warned, "will change everything you think you know about what's possible. Are you ready for that?" Zilith looked at Reth, saw her own mixture of fear and fascination reflected in his bioluminescence. They both knew that whatever lay beyond that door would forever change the course of galactic history. "We're ready," Zilith answered, knowing it was both truth and lie. No one could truly be ready for what humanity had been preparing for all these centuries. His Strategic Command Center of the Prometheus violated every law of space that Zilith thought she understood. The chamber appeared to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, with walkways that curved impossibly and view screens that showed perspectives that shouldn't exist. Admiral Okoro stood at what appeared to be the center of this reality-defying space, his uniform now incorporating elements that seemed to shift and change as Zilith's crystalline structure attempted to process them. "Welcome," he said, "to humanity's final sanctuary." "This is..." Reth's bioluminescence flickered rapidly, struggling to maintain coherence. "This isn't possible." "Possibility," a new voice echoed through the chamber, "is merely a limitation of perspective." A figure emerged from what appeared to be a fold in space itself, human in basic form, but her skin rippled with patterns that suggested deep space, as if she contained galaxies within herself. Grand Observer, First Analyst. Meet Director Amara Okafor, Okoro introduced. Head of Project Threshold. You're human? Zilith asked, though she already suspected the answer was more complicated. Mostly, Amara smiled, stars seeming to swirl in her eyes. What you're seeing is the result of 7 centuries of human evolution, guided by necessity. We found ways to exist in spaces between conventional dimensions. It was either adapt or die. The chamber's displays shifted, showing images that made Zilith's crystalline structure vibrate with disbelief. Human ships phasing between realities, crews operating in spaces where normal physics held no meaning, weapons that didn't so much destroy their targets as erase them from existence. The harvesters don't just consume technology, Okoro explained. They consume possibility itself. Every civilization they've destroyed, every species they've erased. They didn't just kill them. They removed their entire potential from the universe. But how? Reth demanded. How did you discover all of this? Because we survived them once before, Amara said quietly. The chamber darkened, and a new image appeared. Earth, but not as it existed now. This was Earth of 1,000 years ago, and something massive and dark hung in its sky, tearing reality apart around it. They found us early, Okoro continued, before we were supposed to be ready, before we had even reached our moon. We should have been easy prey. What happened? Zilith asked, though the answer was obvious. Humanity had survived. We got lucky, Amara replied. One of their scout ships malfunctioned, crashed in what you now call the Tunguska region. We recovered technology we weren't supposed to have, understood threats we weren't supposed to comprehend. It gave us a head start, but more importantly, it gave us fear. Fear. Reth's bioluminescence pulsed questioningly. Productive fear, Okoro clarified. The kind that drives innovation. We knew they would return, you see. Knew we had centuries at most to prepare. So we did the impossible. We unified our entire species around a single purpose. Every scientific breakthrough, every technological advancement, every step into space was guided by one goal: survival. The displays shifted again, showing the true extent of human preparation. Hidden fleets that dwarfed what they'd already revealed. Weapons platforms disguised as natural phenomena. Entire solar systems converted into elaborate traps. The harvesters are returning now because they sensed the Galactic Council approaching the threshold, Amara explained. But they don't know about us. Don't know we've spent centuries preparing for them. Don't know we've already seeded their arrival zones with quantum disruption fields and dimensional anchors. You've been laying traps, Zilith realized. All these centuries, while we thought we were studying you. We were preparing to protect you, Okoro confirmed. But our calculations show it won't be enough. Not this time. The harvesters have evolved, developed new ways to consume reality itself. That's why we revealed ourselves now. That's why we're showing you all of this. The chamber shifted again, its impossible geometry rearranging to display what looked like a blueprint, but not for any technology Zilith had ever seen. This, Amara gestured to the display, is Project Threshold, a way to fight beings that consume possibility, by creating new possibilities faster than they can destroy them. But to build it, we need the Galactic Council. We need your scientists, your resources, your perspectives. And if we refuse? Reth asked, though his bioluminescence suggested he already knew the answer. Then humanity will fight alone, as we have for centuries, Okoro said simply. And we will likely fail. And when we fall, there will be nothing standing between the harvesters and the rest of the galaxy. Zilith moved closer to the blueprint, her crystalline structure analyzing its impossible patterns. What she saw there defied comprehension, but perhaps that was the point. Perhaps the impossible was exactly what they needed. How long do we have? She asked. To build Project Threshold. Amara's star-filled eyes met Zilith's crystalline gaze. Less time than we'd like. More time than we should need if we work together. And if it works, what then? Then, Okoro smiled, we rewrite the rules of what's possible. Together. 3 months after humanity's revelation, the Galactic Council's Grand Assembly Chamber hosted the largest gathering of species in known history. Xylith stood at the podium, her crystalline form refracting the light of 1,000 different worlds' representatives. The evidence is undeniable, she announced, her voice resonating through the vast chamber. Humanity hasn't just been hiding their technological advancement. They've been serving as our silent guardians for centuries. And now they bring us warning of a threat that endangers not just our civilizations, but reality itself. The chamber erupted in overlapping voices and electromagnetic communications. Above them all, a massive hologram displayed the Harvester scout vessels, now clearly visible at the galaxy's edge. Their numbers had tripled since that first meeting aboard the Prometheus. Admiral Okoro stepped forward, his uniform now incorporating elements of both human and council design. We don't ask for your trust, he stated, silencing the chamber. We ask for your survival instinct. The Harvesters don't negotiate. They don't show mercy. They consume everything in their path, not just matter and energy, but possibility itself. Director Amara emerged from a fold in space, her galaxy-containing form drawing gasps from the assembly. Project Threshold isn't just a weapon, she explained as the blueprint materialized around her. It's a fundamental reimagining of what's possible, a way to generate new realities faster than they can be consumed. The massive display shifted, showing the project's full scope for the first time. Not just a device or a station, but a galaxy-spanning network of reality engines, each capable of spawning new possibilities, new futures, new ways of existing. We've already begun construction, Iris announced, her holographic form materializing. Human ships are deploying the primary nodes as we speak. But to complete the network, we need your help, your perspectives, your unique ways of understanding reality. And if we succeed, asked the Exertion ambassador, their crystalline form similar to but distinct from Xylith's, what becomes of our civilizations then? We evolve. Amara smiled, stars swirling in her eyes. Together, we become something new, something the Harvesters can't consume because we'll be generating new forms of existence faster than they can devour them. A new alert pulsed through the chamber. The Harvester fleet had accelerated, their impossible forms tearing through space toward the galaxy's spiral arms. They sense what we're building, Okoro announced grimly. They know we're preparing something. We have less time than we thought. Then we must decide now, Xylith declared, turning to face the assembled representatives. Humanity has shown us what's possible when fear becomes motivation instead of paralysis. They've shown us what can be achieved when an entire species dedicates itself to survival. The question is, will we join them? One by one, the representatives began to signal their agreement. Species that had been enemies for millennia found themselves united by a threat greater than their ancient grudges. The construction of Project Threshold accelerated. Human ships worked alongside council vessels, teaching them to navigate the spaces between dimensions. AI networks merged with organic minds, creating new forms of consciousness that could perceive reality in ways neither machine nor flesh could achieve alone. And through it all, the Harvesters approach, their hungry void-eating stars and possibilities alike. 6 months later, Xylith stood with Admiral Okoro and Director Amara aboard the Prometheus, watching the final components of Project Threshold slide into place. The network spanned the galaxy now, each node humming with potential, ready to birth new realities. They're here, Iris announced, her form flickering with the strain of processing the Harvester's approach. Are we ready? Xylith asked, her crystalline structure vibrating with both fear and anticipation. No, Amara smiled, galaxies spinning in her eyes. But that's the point, isn't it? Ready is a finite state. What we're about to do, it's infinite. All nodes reporting ready, Okoro confirmed. All species linked. All possibilities aligned. He turned to face them, his expression both serious and hopeful. Shall we rewrite reality? Xylith looked at the approaching void, at the hunger that had consumed so many civilizations before. But this time was different. This time, the galaxy wasn't divided. This time, they weren't prey hiding from predators. This time, they were creating faster than death could consume. Initiate Project Threshold, she commanded. The galaxy lit up with new possibility, and everything changed. Not just once, but infinitely, forever. And in the spaces between those new realities, humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy became clear. The understanding that impossible was just another word for not trying hard enough. The end.